What is going on, team? I thought I'd do a solo Fireside PM discussion today around the different types of AI product strategies that I've been observing over the last 6 months. By way of background, I've probably looked at 100 different AI startup pitches. I've made about nine different investments, not all AI, but many. Um, I've also been playing around with a lot of existing product companies, AI features. I've been using a variety of prosumer kind of AI tools like ChatGPT 4.0 and Gemini Advanced and Claude Professional. And then I've been also doing some thinking around like larger trends around DIY enterprise AI. And it's not really necessarily that one is going to win, but I will say that the amount of energy around AI startups may be a little bit disproportionate to the economic value that's going to be created. And I do have a emerging thesis that the DIY enterprise AI is where the value creation will be greatest. But let's kind of go through each of these approaches and their pros, cons, and some kind of thought starters. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments as well. But this is kind of mine as a veteran product guy who's shipped some AI products in the past. So with the AI startups, and now as a budding angel investor, there's no shortage of companies that are taking full advantage of the mega trend of AI, and most of them are built on top of OpenAI APIs. Some of them use a variety of different generative models. Some have some machine learning, thrown in, or they might be largely ML companies. But the pro of these is that they are super cool. I mean, they're going after very large industries, and there's the legal kind of co-pilot. There's the marketing, in a box kind of optimize everything thing. There's just for every vertical you can think of, there's an AI startup. And they're super interesting. They have pretty cool demos, and they're often first to market using generative features to do something really neat. Um, as an example, I on my product reviews blog at tomslist.com, I did a comparison of AI PowerPoint or slide tools. You'll see I'm using using Google Slides here, so that might tell you a little bit. That I compared a variety of them. I actually preferred Gamma for in terms of all the new entrants. Um, the notion of like, oh, describe your deck and then hit the magic button and then it creates it. It's super cool to demo and pretty impressive what it can do. I think the cons with a lot of these AI startups is that you do wonder if there are features versus businesses. And in my AI kind of slide tool testing, I found that after the initial like wow factor wore off, and I wanted to actually iterate on these slides, or I wanted to provide much longer prompts, I just found it easier to go into Google Slides and DIY the old-fashioned way. Um, I also did a bunch of testing around AI note takers, preferred Read.ai over Otter and Fireflies and a few others. But even then, I found that, wow, the video recording, transcription, and summary are pretty solid. But all of the other features that are added, like the analysis of how much you're talking, or if you're using a lot of filler words, or extraction of action items, they were not good enough to make it part of my workflow. They were good enough to demo and to be very impressed by. So that is a con for a lot of these AI startups, which is, okay, you found a very cool feature, you can demo it, it does kind of blow the audience away, but is it going to be part of their day-to-day workflow after you're gone and after the kind of new car smell has worn off? That's a big question. I think the other questions around these AI startups is a lot of them are hanging their hat on, hey, we have some proprietary data, we're doing some retrieval augmented stuff with proprietary data, or our product is made of 10 different models and we're orchestrating multiple models. Or we are building a new brand around this and we're going to just, kind of create a new category. Where is the moat is a question I think a lot of us are trying to think through, both from an investor and founder perspective. My intuition is that probably most of these AI startups are not going to be around in a couple of years, and that's okay because that's how investments work and how innovation happens. And it'll be interesting. Like personally, the startups that I've invested in often are not really AI first. They're just great businesses, and AI is one of their many features, and it's kind of like a table stakes thing they do. Versus like, oh, this is Gen AI with some workflows wrapped around it. Those are a little bit more difficult. So yeah, like I've invested in a SaaS company that just solves a problem. Like as an example, it's called Supermove. They just solve a problem for local movers. It's kind of a business in a box for a historically kind of tech laggard area where a lot of money changes hands, and they do everything for the company, and now they are sprinkling in AI where appropriate. But I wouldn't call them an AI first company. I'm also an investor in a company called Bearing.ai. They help like maritime cargo ships navigate in a more fuel efficient way. For sure, they're using artificial intelligence, but the way they get their data, the way they integrate with the ships, and how they're kind of thinking about it is definitely more than, hey, we'll send a prompt to OpenAI and show it to you in our skin. So that's the AI startups column. Then there's the incumbents AI features. So these are existing tech products that are adding AI capabilities. The pro there is that, they've got existing users. Nobody needs to install anything. People trust those products. The cons is that most of those features really don't work that well. It feels like a PM and their eng team had an OKR to add an AI feature to the product, and they launched it. But I can't think of an existing product where I've seen that little AI kind of icon on some new feature. I've tried it, and now it's become like part of my day to day, as much as I would like to. I haven't found that yet. And you would think by now, like Slides or Gmail or Calendar or Docs, like more of us would be habitual users of those new AI features. Whenever I've tried them, I'm like, okay, yeah, it's like maybe 40% of the way there. So the question is like, which incumbents are going to nail their AI capabilities, and can you bolt on AI to an existing product, or does it need an AI first kind of redesign? Does it need a rethink? I'm starting to wonder if there's more massive redesigns that might be needed versus, sprinkling on some AI buttons. But let me know in the comments if you found an existing product where you're like, oh my God, I love the AI here. So like as an example, I think on LinkedIn, if you read some post, it suggests some like questions, and that's just like, I'm not sure that's a problem I have, like why is it suggesting things for me to comment on? I'm not sure, but they did launch it, and it probably hit an OKR, so kudos to them for that. And I'm sure it'll iterate and get better. Then there's the prosumer AI column. So this is like not really new AI products, but it's customers of our products, your products, using usually ChatGPT as a hack for their existing workflows. So they'll have it in another tab. So they might be in Google Slides, but then they'll use ChatGPT to do some research or do some kind of summarization, and then go back into Slides and kind of incorporate that content or that research into it. The pro there is that you get instant ROI, And it is usually way better than expected. Like I am blown away pretty much on how much ChatGPT has improved from November of 22, and it's only been a couple years less, and just keeps getting better. And initially you start with some fun kind of party tricks like, oh, write me a poem in the style of Shakespeare about product management. But then now you're like, oh, here's a bunch of angel investment deal docs. Like, is there anything unusual here? Or I'm looking at investing in this company. Tell me about this, its competitors, or what is the pricing looking like, or what are the trends you're seeing, or what do people say about this company? And it's just, it keeps getting better. Or like, hey, turn this video into a Substack essay. It's pretty freaking good. Anybody who subscribes to my Substack can see, like, wow, how is he putting out these posts so quickly after he shoots his videos? It's definitely some ChatGPT workflow hacks there. The con is that it is hard to automate and bake in these hacks into the workflow as a prosumer or an individual kind of knowledge worker who has upgraded their ChatGPT subscription. So that is a little bit, it's not quite built in the way you would want it to. And so, but overall, I mean, anybody who's not using ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini, the chatbot in your day-to-day, and if you're a knowledge worker of any kind, you're probably missing out. And I guess one of the questions is like, wow, will companies in 2026 like have half the employees as they do now because people will be at least twice as productive? I mean, there are tasks where it would have taken me weeks and I've been able to do them in days or hours. And that's just mind-blowing and super cool. And I do think you are not at a point where ChatGPT can replace the human, but in the hands of a experienced, thoughtful human, it's like a 10x boost, I think, in impact. Or it's on the path to be that. Maybe it's like a 2-3x right now, but it's just pretty nutty. Last column is what I think is maybe where the most economic value is going to be created, which is the existing companies that are not Silicon Valley companies. They're just regular companies using OpenAI APIs or equivalents to build internal tools and accelerate their workflows or add native AI capabilities to their products and services. And the benefit is they're going to get major ROI. They're going to benefit from all of the billions or hundreds of billions of dollars that have been invested in these foundational models. And they're going to be able to potentially avoid SaaS margins, which really is a yellow flag for the first column. Like if you're an AI startup, your biggest competitor may not be other AI startups. Your biggest competitor may be your customers grabbing one IT guy who knows how to code a little bit and basically taking your most useful feature and building some scrappy version of it, but cutting the cost for the CIO from hundreds of dollars per seat per month per employee to who knows, maybe a few $100 or a little more to OpenAI and Azure for that feature per month. So it could be, and now they have control, they have the ability to tweak it, to integrate it, and they don't have to pay this ongoing rent to the startup. Now the startup will keep adding more and more features, but there is a point where the AI capability is good enough. And so, for all these AI note-taking apps, like you see them adding tons and tons of features around collaboration and all kinds of advanced analysis and chapters and trailers and all these cool things. But at the end of the day, for note-taking, you really just want a recording and a searchable transcript and maybe a summary. I mean, 90% of the time, that's pretty much good enough. And so why should the enterprise customer keep paying for continued development when foundational model improvements they're going to get through the foundational providers, and then your margin as a AI startup is for adding new features that they may or may not want. So that DIY enterprise AI, the biggest pro is they get rapid ROI and at a fraction of the cost of what they used to do. Now, the reason why this wasn't as big of a deal during like Web 2.0 is that, well, most companies didn't have the wherewithal to build like a full SaaS offering, and they don't have the wherewithal to do a full, like they're not going to build their own CRM necessarily. But let's say you have an AI startup around empowering, uh, sales executives to put together better pitches. Um, they either could that sales exec could use the prosumer AI approach and just use ChatGPT on another tab, or maybe the IT department says, oh, some entrepreneurial IT guy or gal says, oh, if that's all you need, I can use the Open AI API and integrate that into Salesforce using maybe some off the shelf tools, and so then you don't need to get another subscription to another AI SaaS offering. Um, the cons of this approach, where of DI enterprise AI, is you would need internal product development and scaling capabilities. So like if you're a lumber company, unlikely that you're gonna have a strong enough IT department. Um, there's maybe a fifth column here, which is uh, they hire a small agency or contractor that then hooks up some quick and dirty OpenAI API powered feature or tool, and they charge a few $100 an hour, and that's it, man. And then you just pay your Azure ongoing costs and some minor maintenance costs, but you don't need to pay for dozens of engineers to be building all these new features every quarter. The questions for the DIY enterprise AI side is like, well, is this the new 1998, like where every company had to build their website and their internet strategy and develop their internet presence? Will now every company reassess and build their own internal AI enhanced workflows and capabilities? I think probably. Um, and so will this be where the biggest economic wins are? And is it the older companies who were first to successfully harness AI? Are they going to be the biggest winners? So, as an example, in travel, uh, if one of the airlines somehow harnesses AI for, what might they do? Um, they may do it to help you like plan your trips better. Maybe that's one of the existing travel companies. Like let's say Expedia build some crazy tool to help you plan your trips better. Um, why would those users use some startup to do it if it's just built into Expedia? And is that going to be the bigger winner? And that, maybe that example, it looks more like column two, the incumbents AI features. Or it could be like, let's think of an old school example, like a real estate company, like a real estate brokerage that gives all of its realtors access and training, not just on how to use ChatGPT, but maybe builds in uh, OpenAI API capabilities into their internal tools for when they analyze contracts or go through disclosure statements. And if suddenly that real estate brokerage's agents are able to provide better service, faster service, better advice, like that's probably going to give them an advantage over their competitors who might be kind of laggards or just don't really get it. So those, in summary, are my sense of the different flavors of AI product development. I think a lot of attention is on the first column. Probably only maybe 5% of those are going to end up being successful. I think they will be pressured by incumbents adding AI features or their own customers embracing AI as prosumers off the shelf or doing internal tool development on the foundational model APIs. And then you have the incumbents where clearly they're all scrambling. Haven't seen anyone really crack the code yet and do a great AI feature. Yeah, let me know if you know of any existing products that were around before 2022 where they've added AI and you're like, oh my God, that's amazing. Maybe some of the photo editing stuff, maybe, I don't know. maybe Google, maybe Google Meet, like some of the noise cancellation and video enhancement and kind of like Loom, like the video touch up stuff. But I don't know. I don't know if that's like game changing. Um, and prosumer AI, like I think that's happening. Uh, anybody who's
But I found these results on search.
Hey Google, stop. The smart Nest display is always interrupting me. Um, the prosumer AI stuff is for sure already happening. So column 3 is like no longer like will it happen, and column 4 I think is where if you add up all of the dollars created, the dollar value created, I think that's perhaps going to be more than on the AI startups front. Like, yeah, which is interesting because I don't know if that's where all the investment is going. I think there's a lot of money getting poured into AI startups. But maybe the biggest winners are the, Accentures and Deloittes of the world that are going to build cool things for existing companies. I'm sure they've got a long backlog of stuff. So hopefully this was useful. If you ever want to say hello, I'm working on a few projects that are related. So one is a buddy of mine, Rob, who used to be a VP of engineering at Hulu. He and I were talking about that last column, like, hey, maybe most of the action is going to be on the kind of DIY enterprise AI. So if you work at a non-tech company and you want to explore using AI to accelerate or improve some internal work processes or improve your service, you can reach out to me. Rob and I are probably going to work with one company for about a month to build a proof of concept using largely off-the-shelf capabilities. And the goal would be to see if we can give maximum value for minimum kind of ongoing costs. And we'll learn a lot, and you'll learn a lot, and maybe you'll end up with a tool that helps you save millions of dollars or make millions of dollars more. And then we'll help you transition it to your team. So we're not trying to hold you hostage or anything. We're just trying to test this assumption that, wow, the greatest value creation may be working with existing companies to build their own internal quick and dirty tools versus building like a standalone new SaaS company that's going to have to convince customers to pay, thousands of dollars across many seats per month. So that's one thing. The other thing is I've been doing a lot of product advisory and consulting for a variety of different startups. If you're at a startup and you want a second opinion or a fractional CPO, happy to talk about that. I also do a lot of product management coaching for product managers around their career, or they're working on an important project or decision and they want a second opinion. And obviously all of that's done very discreetly and confidentially. And then I teach some product management classes on Maven, one on exec reviews and one on product strategy in the AI era. And then lastly, I've been doing angel investments, mostly through special purpose vehicles, but open to direct investments if it's really a great fit. So if you're a pre-seed founder and you want to get a second opinion, I'm happy to talk and learn more about your venture and maybe participate in some way. So you can reach out to me anytime at the email address tom@paloaltofoundry.com. And hopefully this was useful, and stay tuned for a future episode of Fireside PM Podcast. You can follow me on LinkedIn. You can subscribe to the audio podcast, Fireside PM. And now I also have a Substack, which summarizes a lot of my long form podcast interviews. So hopefully I'll see you across all of those channels or whatever is most convenient for you. All right, let's get back to work.